Then I have to remember. But welcome to the Sip Sow podcast.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Wanted you to come on for ages, so I'm really glad that you're here.
Thank
And
you.
what a nice way to kick off this series as well.
Definitely.
Tell everyone about where we are, first of all.
Yeah, well, this is actually, I've got you in the QVC studios.
I know,
And
I
this
can't
is
believe
actually quite a big deal because they don't let people in very often. And I've never talked on a podcast much about my QVC side of my career.
it. Yeah.
And it's kind of, I've been working with QVC for about 15 years, and
Wow.
it's a whole different world. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to unpacking that with you today.
I'm looking forward to seeing it and experiencing
Yeah,
it.
because you'll get behind the scenes as well, which
Yeah,
is also a
exactly.
real honour as well.
I'm excited to see that.
No,
See how
very
it all
special
works.
day. Thank you for being here.
Take me back then to the start of your career and how did you even get into horticulture and plants, and where did that all
Yeah.
come from?
I don't know, because when I was a kid, I never knew what I could do when I grew up.
No.
I never really thought ahead very much. I don't even think ahead much now,
No.
which is kind of weird. But yeah, I was gardening with my grandparents when I was 6, 7 years old, spending a lot of time there on the weekends and in the evenings as well, and kind of just picking up all of this kind of like gardening knowledge. And I soon took over my parents' garden. I really like selling plants as well. So I was selling plants at the local WI
You're a bit of a
market.
salesman.
Yeah, because my parents, like, not to discredit my parents, but I don't remember them ever giving me any pocket money past the age of
Yeah.
about 10,
Yeah.
because they could see that I was making my own money,
Yeah.
selling plants at the market, selling plants at the end of the driveway as well. And I just remember like the buzz of putting my plants out for sale and then kind of like having some money in the petty cash tin. That was
Yeah.
nice. So I knew as I grew up, I loved plants, but I also loved money at the same time, which I think is a good combo.
Good.
Really.
Plant
Yeah.
business combo.
And a very
yeah.
honest combo as well. So, I was really gardening all my spare time with my grandparents, selling the plants, taking over my parents' whole garden. When I was about 12 years old, I bought a photocopier
Okay.
because I started a mail order plant nursery,
Oh, wow.
a herb nursery.
Oh, brilliant.
And I printed my own catalogue. It was called Springfield Herb Nursery. I had an inventory of about 60 plants, and I sold through adverts in the back of Gardener's World magazine.
Wow, that's cool.
It wasn't a big business. I probably only had about 20 orders in the lifetime of the company, but it was my early entrepreneurial
Your first
experiences.
dabble,
Yeah. And it was really cool. And honestly, through my school years, I was a good student, but I didn't really enjoy the social side of school. I kind of wasn't really popular. I kind of had one friend that we kind of had have you ever seen Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion?
No.
You have to watch it because I think that explains for a lot of us how we were at school. We were kind of like kind of outcasts, but we still had our own fun
Yeah.
within that as well. So, we still had a brilliant time, but we certainly were never the A group, the
Never
B
the
group,
cool
or
kids,
no, always like Z group, but still had a great time.
Yeah.
But and that film really explains this. So and a lot of people that now work in horticulture can relate to that because we weren't the sort of people that fitted in,
No.
but we had the comfort of plants as
Yeah.
well, which was superb. So so through my school years, I was really kind of hiding with the plants on the weekends, evenings, but having a great time. And then towards the end of school, wasn't planning ahead and just ended up going to horticulture college. And I think a lot of my career has been serendipity because there's a horticulture college 12 miles away from where I grew up in Suffolk.
Oh,
so
okay.
it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And the careers advisor was no help because in those days, I hope it's changed a little bit now. And why I like to connect the industry and career is because, you've got to see there's really great careers available in horticulture.
Oh, amazing.
And they're not as obvious as you imagine.
No.
They're not all about being a landscape gardener or garden designer. There's a lot more nuance. You could work in TV, you could work with PR, label writing, So the careers advisor was saying, oh, you could be a florist or a vet as well, which was coming out of this. Like in those days, like you're too young for this, but there was like this weird computerized thing that then printed stuff on this weird computer.
Worked out what
Do you know what computer paper is? When it has these
with
little
the
holes down the edge?
lines,
Yeah. And it was like this really, really awful. I think I've still got the piece of paper somewhere. Yeah, just saying florist or vet. And I just went to a horticulture college, and that took me in a whole nother direction,
Good.
which then still didn't have a plan. But I really enjoyed being at college, and I found my people there as well.
Yeah.
The people that love plants too. I wish I'd had Instagram when I was younger,
Yeah.
because that is how we've connected with like-minded people.
It
And
is.
that was not available in my day. So anyone that, thinks Instagram is kind of like a negative charge, there's so much that's brought us in terms of our niche interests, as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. So when you finished college then, how did you did you just go with the flow and see where it took you?
Yeah.
I believe that's the best thing. That's exactly what I've done throughout my career.
Definitely.
It's just
Definitely,
go with
definitely.
the flow, go with the gut feelings, and do what feels right.
100%, Tom, honestly, because even now, I never believe in 5-year plans, because you have to, when you've got a 5-year plan, you probably treat it like homework.
Yeah.
And you won't do any work on it until the end of year 4. And then you'll cram it all in, and it's like, what is that rubbish, And also, you've got to notice the opportunities that are kind of in the laybys as you go along. And when you've got this big master plan, you tend to ignore any of those opportunities that don't match your bigger plan.
Yeah.
So through college, I didn't have a plan. Even towards the end of college, I still wasn't wildly confident. I was so shy and lacking in confidence through my school years, as I've said, but also in college, I found my people, but I still wasn't confident in the outside world. So I really didn't want to go to university. I probably didn't even know what opportunities were even available.
No.
So I got to the end of the course, and another moment of serendipity, actually, because Thompson & Morgan, mail order plant company that be aware of, are based in my hometown in Suffolk. And they had a competition in the local newspaper to design a garden at Thompson & Morgan, which was in conjunction with BBC Radio Suffolk.
Okay.
And I'd started to do some work experience with a garden designer locally. And he kind of helped me put a design together that was based around plants that were raised in the Suffolk area. So I put together this very basic design. It's just like like a cross and a fountain in the middle. So please don't think I'm a garden designer. But I filled the borders with plants that were raised in Suffolk. So it was a real nice edge to it. Yeah. So it had something very distinct. And so I won the competition, which was great.
Nice.
I didn't win a job. I did win a greenhouse and £100 of seed.
Not bad.
And then a week later, because even though I was still excruciatingly shy and I didn't have any confidence and kind of like so many different hang-ups, I never minded writing a letter to someone. I probably wouldn't pick up the phone and talk to them, but I would write a letter, and I didn't mind if people said no. I loved writing letters, like kind of emails didn't exist then, of course. And I wrote a letter to Thompson & Morgan and said, have you got any jobs, basically? And they took me in for an interview. And I think this was even at the end of May. And of course, my course was ending within a couple of weeks. So I really wasn't planning ahead at all. And I asked for a job, and they took me on as an apprentice, basically. And that started off 18 joyful years of growing up with the company. And I was kind of going from, boy to man at that stage as well. And kind of so much changed for me as a person, as a career as well. And kind of like, it was the dream job from day one, because I was going out there, finding new plants, writing about plants, kind of, overseeing the breeding project, putting the catalogues together. Really,
and is that where you really got your love for new plants? Because you're
Yeah.
always finding the latest
I think
developments.
so. But even before that, when I was working for the garden designer, Paul Miles, but one of my roles for him, kind of, it was just evenings and weekends, was to find the plants that he needed for his garden designs.
Okay.
And they were often quite niche plants that not everyone grew.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave me that thirst for something unusual. So maybe that was the early kind of prompt.
Yeah.
And then certainly Thompson & Morgan, because, new plants for Thompson & Morgan is still their lifeblood.
Yeah.
And so I was putting those catalogues together from a very early stage, starting to work on their video catalogue.
Wow.
In those days, they were filming a video catalogue, which was basically presented by a guy called Steve Brooks and Julie Peasgood that used to be in Brookside.
Okay.
I think you're too young for Brookside, right?
I can just about remember it.
She played Fran,
Oh.
for your information. A friend of Sue, who was the wife of Terry.
Oh.
Yeah. I hope
You
there's
were
some Brookside
really
fans
into
that are
it.
listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can rewatch it on STV Player at the moment,
Oh,
actually,
really?
from episode 1.
There we go.
And I was working behind the scenes. And that started to then propel me into doing more of the kind of TV work, because my boss at the time, Paul Hansord, then kind of like almost pushed me in front of the camera because I'd spent about 8 years kind of finding the new products and looking for the new stuff. And he was like, well, you're the best guy to talk about this stuff because you know it inside out. But of course, that is a whole nother level of confidence, which I know we'll get to. But it's like, being pushed into that world is a whole different pivot.
So that was your first dabble then, really, in doing this stuff and being filmed?
My first appearance was on the Alan Titchmarsh show.
Okay.
I don't know how many years ago now, maybe 18 years ago, something like that.
And that was your first TV appearance?
Yeah, I think it's on YouTube. So he used to have an afternoon show.
See, that's what I'm going to go and look for
now. And I'm like, oh my God, I was so nervous. I'm really intonating every word very carefully in a way that I certainly don't do now. And it was talking about, I think it was talking about when we first bought the yellow snowdrop. Because at Thompson Morgan, we were not only releasing new plants, but we also were looking for the PR stories. So we bought the most expensive snowdrop at the time from eBay. It was a yellow snowdrop for like £751, I think it was, to be exact. And we then, that was then a PR story. We also coupled that in, I think, with the black hyacinth, which was a variety we bought from the grower for €150,000. So I was starting to work on a lot of those big PR stories, the Tomtato, which is tomatoes on top, potatoes on the bottom. We had that on the One show, actually, once. And so I was starting to be pushed onto those shows. And then social media came along at the same time. Facebook was obviously the main vehicle. And I then started to use it to then promote those plants and kind of the appearances, and kind of then the whole landscape of like my role then started to change, which then kind of gently moved me into a freelance world as well. So that's kind of the start of the media story, I guess you'd say.
That's interesting. It's very similar to my story, and how I got into all of this was exactly the same. Was just starting to dabble in my corporate job with video, when video was coming along, and like you say, then social media started, and it just created a whole new world.
And did you get a kind of real passion for it as well?
Exactly. You just get the buzz for it, don't you? And it just probably you were the same. It just took off, didn't it? And before you know it, you were kind of like, wow, this is the whole thing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But what was sorry, as a podcaster, I can't help but interview you as well.
Okay, fine.
I'm so sorry.
Let's make this a two-way thing. That's fine.
But like for you, kind of what type of corporate job were you in, and where did your pivot to plants come in as well?
Yeah, so I was working for big corporate businesses like Sainsbury's, Holland and Barrett, places like that. I was doing communications. So my last roles, I was head of communications. So all the messages that go out, especially to the teams, to run the businesses. The pivot to plants came in lockdown, actually. Well, I've always been into gardening, much like you, from a young age, and always done my own gardens. But then lockdown came along. We were all forced to be at home. And so I started Instagramming the garden. And, at that point, it was when Instagram was just taking off, really. And you just posted a picture of what you were doing in the garden, and off it went with hundreds of likes and, all of that. So that's where I started sharing my gardening journey and how my sort of Instagram started. And then when lockdown finished, all the shows came back, and I started to meet people like yourself at the shows and stuff. And importantly, all the brands. And they started going, oh, you kind of do this comms and marketing stuff. So do you fancy doing it for us for a fiver on the side, a bit of a side hustle? And I was like, I can earn a bit of extra money. Do your Instagram. Yeah, of course I can. And then it just kind of unraveled from there until there was people just asking me, could I do it? And I was like, no, I've got a full-time job. And then kind of just had to think.
But now you've combined the two, the passion and the career.
I always said if I could combine my passion with my career expertise, then that would be the win. But I thought that would still be like a big corporate job, like at Thompson and Morgan or something like that. And you'd be like head of comms there or something. Until that kind of flip happened where I was like, no, this can be my own business, and I can literally be doing what I'm passionate about every day. So,
and in charge of your own destiny, which is always a turn on.
And and it's become a proper niche, because there's not many people doing it specifically within horticulture.
Yeah, definitely.
And the advantage is, as you all know, when you know so much about plants and seasonality and that sort of thing, that sets you apart from
because not many other industries are so seasonal as well. So interesting.
So that's how it all happened, really. So we said earlier, we've met through the years at lots of the gardening shows. Which is your favourite? If you had to pick one gardening show of the year, which one would you pick?
So difficult.
I know.
Tatton is always close to my heart because I feel like it's the last one of the season pretty much.
Yeah.
All bar, Malvern,
summer,
autumn, Harrogate, kind of these. But it's the last kind of summery one. And I feel like it slips under the radar a little bit, which is quite cool because it has a few different innovations.
It allows
Northern people are lovely.
Always
so that's
great.
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It allows more of the newness to come through as well. The new kind of designers or people having a go at their borders.
Definitely.
It's more, there's a lot more of that, which I like.
So I would say Tatton, but I have to say there's a new entry on the chart. Urban. Wasn't it good?
It was
That's
good.
a close second.
It was refreshing.
Yeah,
it was really refreshing. I loved it because it was just so different to anything that had been done before.
And the stall holders, I don't know what you call it, but the participants were so well curated as well. Such a unique range of products and plants. Yeah.
It was nice to see for us as well because obviously we both love our house plants as well as the gardening stuff. So it was nice to see them really taking centre stage and owning their moment.
But I also felt like it wasn't, if you went there and you weren't into houseplants, there was still stuff to see as well.
Yeah, there was balcony gardens and containers and all kinds of stuff. Have you ever been to Shrewsbury Flower Show?
Not yet.
Right, well...
But I feel like I might.
Yeah, I'm going to have to change that, aren't I? So Shrewsbury Flower Show are the headline sponsors of our lovely podcast.
That's cool.
It's the 9th and 10th of August, I think.
Check dates.
The diary,
check
put
dates.
it in your diary.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shrewsbury Flower Show was started by Percy Thrower back in the day. Because that's where he's from.
Because there's Percy Thrower Garden Centre, isn't there?
Yes, that's right. Just round the corner.
That's where Man About Gardening is. Pig Gardener.
That's right. That's where I used to live. That was my closest garden centre. So yeah, Shrewsbury Flower Show. I'm doing the podcast live there.
Wicked.
Yeah, so that's
really cool.
exciting.
Definitely checking dates.
Yeah.
It looks clearish at the moment, I think.
Okay,
so,
I'm going to check that in your diary, and you'll have to come and join me on my little stage, and we can do another little live podcast or something.
Definitely,
carry on the conversation.
As long as I'm not doing Macarena, I'm good.
Okay, fine.
That's the only thing in my rider.
Okay.
Because people do ask.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, I might have to add that to the request list.
Stop.
Well, if we can get everyone doing a giant Macarena, I think, right. Okay, let's make that happen.
But no, it sounds really cool,
Yeah, so put that in your diary.
Okay,
we'll see you
cool.
there.
We'll do.
Okay.
I'm trying to pull it out. I always pride myself on remembering when I first met someone, but I can't pull it out of the back for you.
I can't remember when we first met. No. That's a good question. We'll have to think about that later. Because we see each other so much now. That's the thing. When
but
was
even
the
like
first
fleetingly,
time?
when would that have been?
Yeah. I mean, it must have been years ago.
But what is really, sorry, we're on a complete curveball here. But what is sometimes like deliciously frustrating in this career is like there are so many people that you meet in passing. And you never get to spend much time with them, but you kind of know them very strongly because you're kind of in each other's spheres a little bit.
Yeah.
But and it's not very often you then get to kind of be in front of them. And indeed, last week I went to Stockton Bury and met Tamsin Westthorpe, who I have known for so long.
Yeah.
But we've never been in the same room together for long.
No.
And it's amazing because she recommended me for a lot of the Japanese work that I've done with the container masterclasses. So I got so much to thank her for because that really opened up another whole kind of journey for me. But I finally went to visit her garden last week after Malvern. And finally we were face to face for a longer period of time than we ever had before.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's cool.
Yeah, because we haven't really, have we actually sat down for a long time? We've shared the odd ice cream or whatever on a a show, haven't we?
But now this is our moment.
Exactly. So
in the words of Martine
McCutcheon. Ask each other the questions. That's fine. So you did your first TV appearance then on Alan Titchmarsh, and where did it go from there, and how did you end up getting to QVC? Yeah,
so at that point, I think it was also my boss, Paul Hansford, who was... and this is what I do to other people, if you really need someone with your career to have someone who's kind of cheerleading for you / pushing you into things.
Yes.
There's a balance.
Always.
And Paul Hansford was always pushing me into stuff. He's like, no, you can do that. You know?
Yeah.
And he was always like that. And that is what I do to other people. And there's, I don't know if you go Kate Turner, she's just moved into freelancers. She's on Instagram as a garden guru. And I was with her last week at Malvern and I was really pushing her into stuff and like, no, you can do that. No, you can do that. You can do that. Because that's what people have done to me over the years. And you just need that belief. and anyone can do anything. So there is certainly no reason why we can't achieve things, you know. So yeah, this was Paul that was my kind of cheerleader, really. And so he was, I think the first time I was on QVC, I can actually tell you, was 2012, because it was actually when Thompson Morgan won the Plant of the Year at Chelsea Flower Show with the digitalis illumination, which is that hybrid between digitalis and isoplexis. Very amazing plant as well. There are many different kind of like prodigy, is that the right word? Siblings these days from that plant as well. And that was actually the moment that everything pivoted, I have to tell you, Tom. Because I remember the plant won the competition on the Monday, and Paul was like, you have to come down to London. There might be different opportunities here, kind of like TV, this, and this. And I remember like packing a case very quickly, and it was the first time I'd ever packed a case quickly in my life. And now I pack cases quickly all the time because you just pivot, you just do it, you just go. And that was the moment my life became more dynamic in that way of kind of chasing opportunities. And that was really, I feel like in my head that was a real moment. And so I raced down to London. We'd won the Plant of the Year, and there was then different opportunities that happened that week. And I didn't do BBC coverage. We did get the plant onto BBC coverage, and I was kind of instrumental with making that happen because I'd had the experience of kind of producing kind of the like the video content we did, so kind of like pushing stuff to get on TV. I was kind of starting to do here and there. And then it was like, we're going to sell this on QVC. And I think I must have been for auditions before, because they won't let you on air without an audition. So I'd had auditions, but I hadn't yet been on. And so they were like, oh, we're selling digital illumination. It's like, oh, you're going to do that, Paul? It's like, well, I think you should do it, because I was the guy that had been talking about it all week, that had written the press release, that had talked about it. So I did it, And this is embarrassing, because I can't remember which presenter I was on with first. We need to dig around at QVC and pull out that first clip. In the archives. But of course, when you do the things for the first time, you're very nervous. And any advice for anyone out there, the first time you do something, you will be super nervous. It's natural. Like just as a slight pivot here, in the gym today, I did upside down crunches for the first time in gravity boots. If you don't know what gravity boots are, you have to Google it. You're basically upside down, hanging by a hook on a boot.
Wow.
It is wild. I was so nervous, but we did it 3 times, and I was like, oh my God. But I think I could go in tomorrow and do it, because I've already done it. And you felt all those different sensations. And so, QVC, you just kind of like, you just get to know it. And and it's a very different, like, I don't know if you realize, like, do you think QVC is auto cue?
No, because I should imagine that it's very fast changing.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize this. They do think it's all auto cue.
Do you have someone talking in your ear?
Yeah, you do, but it's all off the cuff pretty much. And there are pointers, and it depends, because basically we are, just to explain the concept of QVC, because very often...
Well, tell people who've... So there'll be some people for sure who've never seen
because
QVC
when I spend
before.
time in Holland, they don't have shopping channels there. No. And the ones they do are a bit cheesy. They're like ab belts and kind of like vegetable choppers, do you know what I mean? So very different world. But QVC is basically a shopping channel. And if you've watched a shopping channel before, it's not like those. It's a lot more sophisticated, because it's big budget. Everything is a really slick, beautiful show as well. We were literally on a kind of shoot to do promos this week. So they create adverts that then go in the ad breaks and stuff. So it's very kind of, you watch it and it really is like a whole slick process. And of course, it's a big vehicle, because it's a US company. You know, you've got QVC also in France, Germany, Italy, lots of different countries as well. And it's basically selling product through the TV. But that opens up so many opportunities, because think about, if you go along to the garden centre, or let's compare that to going to a DIY store. You see a plant there, you see a label on the plant. All you know about the plant is what you can see and what's on the label. On QVC, we've got 4 minutes, maybe sometimes 7 minutes, depends how long the product's on for, to tell you about the product, to guide you through it, to demonstrate, to chat about it, to kind of get all those different nuances as well. So it is like a kind of televised garden centre in a way.
Yeah, that's a nice way to think.
We work with a range of different brands. So Thompson & Morgan, that I obviously came here first working with, Plants to Gardens, Sutton's, Hayloft Plants that you'll know as well, are all here. And it's a brilliant showcase for selling your products. You can sell a lot of product in a small space of time as well.
Yeah, I bet.
You can build trust and community with the viewers too. Since social media came along, that has also lubricated that relationship really nicely. We've got a new project in the last couple of seasons called My Garden Escape, which is a whole range of extra shows on the Style channel, which is then going out every weekday from 5 till 7 as well, which is fantastic. And that is backed up by a special app as well that gives users that whole social media experience. So it's a very sophisticated vehicle. And if you look, like I've got a Facebook group called Gone Gardening, and I set it up a few years ago just to bring together gardening people on Facebook. But it just so happened that all the gardening people on Facebook are also QVC customers, because that demographic matches up perfectly. And it really surprised me. But it's become the most loyal group of QVC viewers out there, because they get, you know, QVC, you're giving like money back, kind of like return guarantees on the plants as well. So this you don't get elsewhere. You don't get it explained. You don't get that kind of community built as well. So it is a whole hidden world as well, because that's why it's such a nice opportunity to do this podcast today, because madly, we don't often talk about it to the outside world very often. They will, depending on when this podcast goes out, they will have or have had a garden at BBC Gardens World Live as well. So that's quite a big move for QVC and the My Garden Escape team as well.
So what are they doing at Gardens World Live?
I think they will have a beautiful border, I believe.
Oh, cool.
But I have to check my notes on that. But they will certainly have a kind of sales area as well, with some unique plants coming through U Garden, which are a new brand for us for this year. And they will also be working with kind of crossover with the cookery section, with the Ninja, because they work with the Ninja, this kind of air fryer, outdoor barbecue kind of accessories as well. So, because of course QVC is not just gardening, it's cookery, it's fashion, it's jewelry. It's,
I mean,
it's a mad
where
world.
we're sat here outside, you can just see so many props of all different kinds of stuff, can't we?
Absolutely. It's really, it's so eye-opening, and I think
you must see all sorts going past.
You kind of get used to it, really. It's really, and in terms of like how the shows happen, and you'll see a little bit of that later, but kind of you've got producers and the directors who are kind of based upstairs. You know, they've got all the knobs and whistles and stuff, much like you've got here with your podcast.
I'm sure much fancier than this.
A little bit bigger. But and so they're obviously putting the show together, and you've got an earpiece in, and anyone that thinks that's strange, you get used to it. You really do. And they are telling you kind of what to do when, and kind of as a guest, like in the first few years, they wouldn't tell you much, but now I'm kind of like more in the kind of role of kind of like co-presenter a little bit these days. So you'll get a lot more in your ear, kind of like obviously where to stand, what to do. Sometimes I do grown-up stuff like take us to a break or bring us back from a break on my own, and sometimes like, oh my god,
I did it.
But you don't realize how nerve-wracking that stuff is, because suddenly you're in charge of the whole program. And that is a lot. And you've got to meet the cues as well. So like you'll be counted down, and you kind of got to fill that time with like, what am I going to say now? Like, and how am I going to stop on the button?
Isn't
and
that
stuff?
the best feeling though, when you get it exactly
to
the end with no like awkward pause?
Totally. Oh, because this is the whole thing with everything. I'm sure you've got the same with your career. Like, feel the fear, but do it anyway. And that euphoric orgasm that you have afterwards is amazing.
Don't you? I know.
The fact that you were scared to do it and you did it.
Afterwards, the adrenaline rush.
And you get addicted to that, and that is what pushes you to keep doing it. But So in your ear, they're telling you kind of like, because the products are set, so the buyers do a great job curating everything. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes, and probably what you see in the show is probably only 20% of what happens, really, you know, in that visual that you see on air. So you'll know what you've got to sell. You kind of know the forecast you've got to hit. You'll know what you want to talk about. You have to have a sample, an image as well. Maybe you've got some extra assets, like some video that's been sent in, or maybe you've got some pictures on iPad that are sent in from a customer, some extra comments, and kind of beforehand you prep what you're going to say about the plant. But you can't rehearse that.
No.
Because when you get on air, you'll be with the main presenter, who's the anchor, who's taking you through the show, you know, hitting all those points like we've got 25 more to sell, kind of like, you know, place your order, here's the item number, kind of the producer is telling them all the different marks to hit, which is a lot.
You can just focus on the plan.
And so my role as a kind of co-presenter, kind of guest, kind of expert is then to talk about mainly the product. So I don't need to hit those kind of sales bits. I'm kind of talking about the nitty gritty of the plant. So that's kind of ultimately a lot easier because I know what I'm talking about with the plant. So it kind of just rolls and happens. But with the conversation, and this is where QVC is like no other, because and I guess you also get this with ITV This Morning, which I do from time to time. It's like you cannot rehearse it, because it in the moment it just happens, and there might be a different question that gets asked, or a different way, or on the moment you think about something different. And so, like, some of the guests that don't get it right are the ones that kind of try and rehearse and kind of try and say the things that they are desperate to say, but it doesn't fit.
It just kind
and
of
you feel that
out,
it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And part of doing QVC well is knowing, like, sometimes feeling like it doesn't fit, but knowing that you'll get there later in the conversation.
It will come around,
but also within the time you've got. Because when you go in the studio, you'll see that you know what time you've got on each product. So kind of you'll glance and you'll be like, I've only got 1 minute 26, but I still want to say this bit about it. Because there's also something else that isn't quite as relevant in the web age, but certainly for live TV. There's big TVs in the green room where you see the sales, but you also see the spikes, where you see like how well the sales are going, and like certain things you say you can track back to when more calls come in. So it might be you've said that it's fragrant or this and that, and kind of like,
and then all the sales.
So when you've got a big offer like a TSV, a today's special value, like one that goes through a 24-hour period, people really study that screen, and kind of like everybody like crowds around. It's like, it really spiked when you said that, or when you said that. So it really becomes this whole balance between knowing what you've got to do to hit the spikes, kind of like to get the information out there, but not rush it out as well. Otherwise, you're just blurting out words.
And you just become like a sales.
Doesn't work. But and it's also still a conversation with the with the presenter that you're on as well. So it's a lot, but you really get used to it, like anything. Like upside down crunches, you know.
And it goes back to your kind of roots of selling the plants, you know, and being that entrepreneur. It's that sales person again.
And it's the passion, and and you're obviously, people are buying from you. And I always believe people buy from people as well. And they start to trust you. And of course, we can now use social media in order to build that following, and now receiving WhatsApps from customers, and they send in their images and kind of this and that. And we now do live streams through the app after every show on a weekday as well. Because the reason we're here on a Wednesday is because it's like my day for my garden escape. So I'm usually on between 5 and 7 on a Wednesday. So people then come to know that signposting. Mark Lane is on a Tuesday, Emma Real Davis is on a Thursday. So kind of like it works like that. And I do a lot of the different weekend shows. But also with My Garden Escape, we've got so many other signposting shows, like plants for pollinators, kind of plants for rock gardens, for example. Kind of like there's so many different ways that we can help the customer to understand what they're going to see in those shows as well. And and it's an amazing world. It really is. And it's like no other as well. And it I think it offers the customer something very different to walking in a garden centre. But I also don't believe it replaces it either. Because our customers, our demographic that mostly buy from QVC, that obviously we're always looking to broaden, they will watch the gardening show in the morning on a weekend, and then they go to the garden centre. So they're buying from both different places as well. And there's brilliant purchases to be had everywhere, you know, from QVC, from the garden centre, from the independent nursery and grower as well. So it's a whole medley. And when you love plants, you're looking in every location for cool plants, you know?
Exactly. And it's what you're going to find, the different, unique ones.
100%.
Especially that they can buy from you here. So tell me about tonight's programme then. What are you talking about tonight? So tonight is a general kind of Michael Perry's garden. So it's 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. We've got like the pick of the month is Richard Jackson's Flower Power. Which is a fertilizer that is not sold outside of the QVC world, which is quite amazing because it's sold millions over the years. But the general public that goes to garden centres and never watches QVC doesn't really know about it. And that is where it really is this hidden world, because that is how we keep things exclusive as well, which is obviously great news. But this is a professional grade fertilizer that is sold to the public, which is amazing. And so we've got that. We've also got Thompson & Morgan products. We've got jalapeno that doesn't have the heat. We've got some Rainbow Drops tomato plants for hanging baskets. So a lot of things you may or may not find in the garden centre, but if you saw tomatoes in the garden centre, you wouldn't know the whole story behind them when you just saw the label. And you wouldn't see potentially how they'd grow and develop, because you know what you really need to do a good QVC sale is to show what the customer gets. So the baby plugs, the bulbs, the bare root, for example, to have an image of what it becomes,
But if you can, to have what we call a grown-on product, so tomatoes in a hanging basket, ready to pick,
them.
to show them the end result as well. And of course, you don't always get that living label in a garden centre. It's not always as easy to pull together. So
no, you can show them end to end.
Definitely. Yeah. So there's a little bit of that. There's I think there's a mini greenhouse. There's some pots as well. So yeah, it's a whole kind of medley.
Mix,
And we already know walking into there how many minutes is on each one. Kind of like, for me, I'm not so much I'm more kind of the nitty gritty of the horticulture, but the presenter will be looking at the sales they need to hit, making sure they kind of make that happen as well. Because, it's not always easy because there are so many outside factors. What's the weather like? If the weather's nice, no one's watching TV.
No.
If there's something else on TV, like football or like a really big event, people won't be watching QVC.
Yeah.
There's so many different nuances that are kind of outside of our control, really.
And I guess it's not the sort of thing that people record and watch back. It's like you have to watch it in the moment.
The big fans do.
Do they?
They really do. Yeah. They'll be like, I didn't catch it, but I've recorded it. I'll watch it later. And it's really,
that's cool.
Yeah, and that's really, it has a great following as well.
Yeah.
It really does. And people have come to trust QVC over the years with all of that. And that is quite a privilege to be a part of that.
Well, I guess if you have something good and it's a good product when you get it, or if it's not right, you can send it back. And all of that,
the returns is really what helps for the whole of the channel across all the different categories as well. And that is very unique these days.
Having a robust returns process that is just simple and easy. You've got to give people the confidence, haven't you? If they're shopping something that they can't physically touch themselves and take home, they've got to have the confidence. If they don't like it, they can send it back.
And fix that they really cannot find elsewhere as well, because a lot of the decor or the pots will be designed for QVC.
Yeah.
A lot of the plants, the stock will only be sold here, for example, and it's becoming more and more dynamic all the time. And of course, the shows we said are quite sophisticated. We've got My Garden Escape, but in the last year, we've also pivoted again to kind of like outside broadcasts as well. So we were Emma was in the tulip fields, I think probably the week after you guys were there as well. Last year I was in the hydrangea fields, so kind of showing the customer, like getting to the product as well, getting to the raw material, because then it's like, we're selling you hydrangeas. Here they are. They're all behind us. We're dispatching them tomorrow. There you go. You can't get more real than that,
Yeah, exactly. Talk to me about seeds. Because do you get to grow much? You've not got a huge amount of outdoor space, have you? Because you're a balcony.
I miss because a couple of reasons. Not just because of having a balcony, but also from traveling a lot.
Well, yeah.
You can't look after seeds.
No, I find it hard work to look after my allotment.
So I kind of maybe over the last few years missed that joy of growing seeds.
Yeah.
That kind of moment, and it kind of probably takes me back to my childhood the most, and growing something like, I don't know if you know a plant called Salpiglossis.
Oh no!
You got to look it up. Oh, Kelly knows it. Oh wow, it's like a giant petunia. It's like a tall upright petunia that has the most colourful, it's called the painted tongue. That's the
we're playing
name.
Charades now in the studio. Kelly's trying to describe.
Oh, they look like big kind of circus flowers. They've got so much colour in them. They're absolutely amazing. And I remember growing them from seed with my grandma, and they are the most insignificant, weedy-looking seedling you could ever imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And what they become is oof.
Oh, I have to
amazing.
Say that. Well,
oof. I've never said oof out loud before.
Oof.
I use it on a lot of WhatsApps. Oof. Yeah, treble O F.
Oh. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll have a bit of oof, and we'll have to persuade Nick at Cauliflowers, who's one of the sponsors of the podcast, to stock it if she doesn't already. Oh, Kelly, show me one. Oh, that's really nice, actually.
They're proper sexy.
Yeah. We'll have to flash a few images up for those of you watching on YouTube. We'll have to see if Nick can stock those at Cauliflowers. So Nick is a really small, independent, up north. Again, you like the Northerners.
Oh, I do.
And she is small, family-run, seed supplier at amazing prices. One of her big things is seeds being affordable for everybody to grow stuff. Okay. So we'll have to persuade her to see if she can stock those for us. Totally. Maybe that can be a Michael Perry collaboration.
Definitely, but if not that, I'll give you a few more suggestions. Clarkia.
Ooh.
Clarkia is an amazing annual, and Gadisha. Ooh. And I used to grow all these with my grandma.
Carol's another fan of that one.
Gadisha is, oh my God, Rembrandt is one of the best varieties. It is really? Just, oh my God, it is, can I say this? Yeah. Knicker-wetting.
Oh. Well, I might have to put a bleep on that one.
It's an amazing plant, honestly. You'll love it.
Oh, I love
You won't look back.
Oh, perfect. Well, if anyone does want seeds, can't guarantee that those seeds are on the website right now, but you get 20% off.
Have I just advertised everything they don't sell?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I'm good at this.
You can use the code Tom20 and you can get 20% off. So yeah, have a look for those seeds that probably aren't on the website.
Ding dong.
Have you seen Genus's stuff?
Yeah. I had some of their stuff many years ago when I was first freelance, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
We'll have to see if we can get you some more, actually. But yeah, Genus are sponsoring the podcast as well. So great that you've had them before. Did you like them?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, good.
Really good kind of durable wear that, obviously is great for outdoors, but specifically gardening, but I think kind of any kind of outdoor activity, because I know what I'm like. The minute I'm outdoors, I'm gardening, but I'm also doing 101 other tasks as well.
Yeah.
But the designs I see, they've really developed over the years as well, because I think when I knew them, it was quite an early stage of their development, but I've seen them just go from strength to strength.
They've spent so long doing the technical development, and it's all in Japan in like real high tech factories. Wow, they go through years of development. So they're looking at products now for like 25, 26, and they've been in development for 2-3 years already. That's how long they take to get to the point. But that's how they get the materials that literally do not rip when you're literally on gravel and stuff like that, or like the stab-proof pockets and things like that.
Pockets.
So I know.
In any other context, that would sound weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would a little bit. But yeah, so they are really, really good. And I wear them when I'm on film shoots and stuff with clients, because especially in the winter, because I have to stand out there and like, it's really lovely and warm because we're doing a spring shoot. I did one, it was like -5 the entire day.
But
so
not just for garden, but also
really
just
warm.
for nursery work as well. They must be useful.
Yeah, anything like that, just outdoorsy sort of stuff. Yeah, they're fab.
Superb.
Yeah.
Love them.
So over the years then, you've kind of just gone with the flow, as you said, and kind of found yourself
Still now,
here. What would your advice be to someone in those sort of situations, kind of going, I don't know what I want to do, or I kind of want to be in horticulture, but I don't really know how and where that's going to go. How, like you talked about your real get up and go sort of just go for it mentality.
Definitely. Right. There's probably a few different strands here, really. First of all, follow your instincts, because I think in life, in any part of our lives, we spend so long ignoring our instincts, which is just such a waste of energy, really. And you usually know what you want to do at the bottom of it, but you spend so long convincing yourself not to do that. And that's just silly. So stop that. Encourage, do not shoo away any cheerleaders that you might have around you. Let them boost you on, and listen to what they say as well. Yeah. Because so often I'll try and cheerlead other people, but they'll still be caught in this track of, I'm no good for that. I'm no good for that.
Yeah.
But listen to what I'm saying, because I think you are good for that, and I want to push you into doing that.
I think you are good at that.
Exactly. And have that belief. But it's very hard, because you have to be able to light the best way to say it is kind of like you light the candle beneath someone, but they need to keep it burning. If you see what I mean. Yeah. So it does come from self-belief, but you can initiate that in people, which is really special to be able to do that. But also just the really basic stuff, dude, which is do a good job. Yeah. So many people, I don't know, they won't turn up on time, or they won't deliver work on time, or kind of like they won't do what they said they were going to do. No, because I think sometimes people think it's okay to let someone down once. But in my book, no, because then you'll feel like it's easy to do it a second time and another time. And it's like, you'll always be like, oh, no, sorry, but this happened. Oh, sorry, but this happened. Yeah. No, sometimes something really is out of your control, but sometimes you can see that maybe you had an excuse that you didn't do it. And I don't know, really, just do what you say you do. Be reliable.
Really hard and do a great job always, so that no one can ever question.
And also,
your
I think you probably find this as well, be reliable. And it is amazing how many people are not reliable. And by being reliable, that really gets you ahead. Because if people know they can depend on you, you just keep getting called for that work. Yeah. And it happens without you even knowing. And also, always be positive. Be someone that is nice to hang around. Yeah. I don't know, just enjoy what you're doing. Yeah. I don't know. It seems really basic stuff, but a lot of people don't get it. I
know what you mean. But I think it's nice to go with the flow, isn't it? And to not have a sort of solid plan and like you said earlier, forcing yourself in a direction. Just go with the flow, take the opportunities as they come up, but be confident in your abilities to do it.
Definitely. And allow things to pivot and allow different opportunities to happen, things you didn't expect. let them in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because you've got some big master plan, well, when you get there, that might not be the plan you wanted. But also, I think with having this big master plan is you do not enjoy life on the way to the master plan, because you feel like when you get to the master plan, this is like this utopia.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's going to be so great when I get there. But what? You're ignoring life now?
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Every day is wonderful. You know, every journey in our career is valid as well. It's not just what we're working towards.
Yeah.
And maybe, this is groundbreaking, maybe we don't have to work towards stuff. Maybe what we're doing now is okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have to achieve
think...
more.
No.
Maybe you're going to move sideways in your career. Maybe you're going to move downwards.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter as long as you're happy.
We do have this mentality that we have to earn more, make more, do more.
Not necessarily.
And I think, well, both of us probably feel the same in that we just literally enjoy what we do.
Exactly.
And whatever opportunities come up, we do them because we love them. And we think everything's amazing, don't we? We're constantly going, oh, I can't believe you're doing that. And I'm doing this. Because we just love it and we enjoy it.
Don't worry about what other people think. I think that's the thing as well. Because that way you will take your career upwards, outwards, downwards. It doesn't matter. But no. Don't think, oh, they might think I'm not doing as well because I don't do that. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Don't use that energy
Only
at all.
You can know what you enjoy and what you love and what's worth it to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You mentioned earlier that point when your life sort of changed and you were packing a bag and just going.
Yeah.
Is it still like that now? Still pack a bag and go and
because that's how you just jump on opportunities and just do it. And I feel like you're doing that now as well, which is really
when you said that, I was like, that is me. Totally resonate with that. Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Like sometimes I'm like, oh God.
Sometimes you do just think I could do with a day off. Or I know that I'm at home.
Yeah, and I think self-care is really important as well.
Well, I think we probably both learned along the way with that one as well, haven't we? That you do have to, because we run with every opportunity. And if someone's rang you now and said, tomorrow, can you jump on a plane and go, we do it.
It is hard to balance, you know, and at the moment, I don't see the magic way to do that necessarily, but I'm trying to have that time out. But when your passion is also your career, and I think you would answer the same to this question, there is not one thing I do not enjoy in my job or what I do. Is that part of being freelance, or is that part of following our passions? Because we're freelance, we can do what we want. Yeah. But I don't know. But
I think it's because we enjoy what we do. As much as anything, because there's nothing that we would look at what we do and go, oh, I could cut that bit out and have a day off, because we wouldn't want to. We wouldn't want to miss the opportunity. But
but for me, you know, plants is like my oxygen. Yeah. So even on a day off, I still want to go to a garden. That still work, because they're still going to post about it or talk about it, and I can't help that.
it just blurs, doesn't it?
I need some other weirdly obscure hobby, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
I don't know, paragliding or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Warhammer.
Or upside down crunches.
Yeah, exactly. You'd still post about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you Instagrammed about that? Because I kind of want to see how it works.
On the cusp. Do you want me to show it to you, actually?
I want to see.
It's kind of, it was difficult. I think, here we go.
Oh, what?
I could crunch more than this. I kept swinging. I really need to. It's so weird. The boots have got hooks on. So strange. And it was a real leap of faith to kind of hook yourself on and then drop down.
That must be the worst bit.
Yeah, but that is, maybe there's a metaphor there for our careers, Tom, in some way. You just got to hook your boots on it. Just go for it.
Just let go and hope for the best and see what happens. I like that. It's done well for us both, hasn't it?
We need gravity boots. I'm not there yet, but there's some phrase out of this that will be on a t-shirt in the next 6 months, I'm sure. Put your gravity boots on and just do it. This is so cool.